Some objects are just things, stuff you own, but others are different. They're vessels. They carry memories, pain, and secrets from a past that was supposed to stay buried. What happens when those secrets refuse to be forgotten? Today, we're prying open the dark world of macabre collectibles. From the chilling history of an asylum straitjacket to the unnerving intimacy of a Victorian mourning locket, we're about to find out that some stories are etched in more than just memory. We all surround ourselves with objects that tell our story, but some objects tell stories that aren't our own. They are the grim artifacts of a forgotten world, items that carry the sheer weight of history and, as some believe, something more. These are the pieces that belong in a cabinet of curiosities, relics from asylums, old operating theaters, and mourning rituals. Today, we're not just looking at antiques, we're confronting the chilling histories they hold. We'll start with a garment once hailed as a humane invention that became a symbol of terror and control. Take a look at this. It's a genuine straitjacket, likely from the early 20th century. It's made of thick, unforgiving canvas, with sleeves that stretch far beyond the length of human arms. This wasn't designed for warmth or comfort. No, its only purpose was control. The straitjacket emerged in 18th century Europe, often attributed to French physicians, and was introduced as a supposedly compassionate alternative to the iron chains and shackles commonly used in early asylums. The idea was to keep patients from hurting themselves or others, while still allowing for a degree of mobility that was impossible when you're literally chained to a wall. But that line between protection and punishment blurred, and it blurred fast. By the early 1900s, psychiatric hospitals in the United States, then known as insane asylums, were often dangerously overcrowded and underfunded. It wasn't uncommon for institutions to run at 150 to 200% of their intended capacity, cramming hundreds of suffering people into spaces that were never meant to hold them. Doctors simply didn't understand many of their conditions. Faced with overwhelmed staff and no effective treatments, asylums resorted to mechanical restraints to maintain a brutal kind of order. The straitjacket became a go-to tool. Imagine being a patient. You might have been admitted against your will for something as vague as melancholy or hysteria, especially if you were a woman. The conditions were grim, more like a prison than a hospital, with barred windows and barrack-like wards. The journalist Nellie Bly went undercover in an asylum in 1887, and what she reported was horrifying. Patients were beaten, choked, and plunged into ice-cold baths as a form of hydrotherapy. In that environment of fear and misunderstanding, the straitjacket was not a gentle embrace. It was a weapon of subjugation. A patient could be bound for hours, even days. Records from some asylums show that restraints were used for hundreds, sometimes thousands, of hours over just a few years. The garment, once intended to be humane, became a symbol of the dehumanization that plagued early mental health care. So, what happens to an object like this after it leaves the asylum walls? Collectors of macabre oddities are drawn to items with a powerful story, and few stories are as dark as those tied to the old asylums. This straitjacket is more than just canvas and leather. It's a physical remnant of a time when the human mind was a terrifying frontier, and our attempts to map it were often just as brutal. It carries the echoes of fear, desperation, and the struggle for control. It forces us to remember a history we might prefer to forget, a history of how we treated those we deemed mad. From the institution, we move to the intimate. This is a piece of Victorian mourning jewelry. At first glance, it's a beautiful, intricate object. But the most precious material in this locket isn't gold or jet, it's human hair. During the Victorian era, from 1837 to 1901, death was an ever-present part of life. But the Victorians didn't just fear death, they ritualized it. This cultural fascination reached its peak after Prince Albert died in 1861. Queen Victoria plunged into a state of mourning so profound it would last the rest of her life, setting a powerful trend for the rest of society. Suddenly, mourning was not only expected, it was fashionable. This fueled an industry of memorial objects. While earlier memento mori jewelry served as a general reminder that you must die, often using stark symbols like skulls, the Victorians took a more sentimental turn. Their mourning jewelry commemorated specific people, using symbols like weeping willows for sorrow and pearls for tears. The most intimate mementos, however, involved hair. Unlike other parts of the body, hair decays incredibly slowly and can keep its color and form for centuries in the right conditions. This made it a perfect symbol of immortality. Taking a lock of hair from a deceased loved one was common practice. This hair would then be intricately woven, braided, or even ground into a pigment for miniature paintings. Lockets like this were designed to be worn close to the heart, containing a tightly woven braid of a loved one's hair, sometimes set next to a tiny portrait. It was an intensely personal way to keep the departed physically present. And 1867 guide on hair art even praised the inexpressible satisfaction of knowing that the material of their own handiwork is the actual hair of the loved and gone. But there's a haunting side to this practice. These objects are literal reliquaries, containing a physical part of a person. For collectors of the macabre, that's the appeal, this unsettling intimacy. A mourning locket isn't just a symbol of a person, it is a part of them. It's a piece of someone's mother, or child, or spouse, frozen in time. When you hold this locket, you're holding a piece of a person who lived and was lost over a century ago. The emotions woven into these strands feel almost palpable. It's a beautiful, tragic object that perfectly captures the Victorian obsession with death, a tangible connection to a grief that feels strangely alive. For our final item, we're moving from the sentimental to the surgical. This object may look like a medieval torture device, and honestly, for the poor souls who had to face it, the distinction was probably pretty minimal. This is an antique dental extractor, most likely a tooth key from the 19th century. Today, we take modern dentistry and anesthesia for granted. But for most of history, a toothache was a terrifying ordeal, and the cure was often worse than the disease. Before the mid-1800s, formal standardized dental schools as we know them weren't yet widespread. Extractions were often performed by barber surgeons or even blacksmiths, anyone with a strong arm and the right tools. The tooth key, which was used from the 18th century into the 19th, was the main tool for the job. It operated on a brutal principle. The claw at the end was placed over the tooth, the metal bolster rested on the gum as a fulcrum, and the practitioner would turn the handle like a key in a lock. The goal was to wrench the tooth out with a single violent rotation. There was no effective anesthetic before the mid-1840 seconds only, if you were lucky, a stiff drink of alcohol or a dose of opium to dull the senses. Patients were often physically held down to keep them from flinching during the excruciating procedure. The results were predictably horrific. The force of the tooth key frequently broke the tooth it was meant to pull, shattered the teeth next to it, or even fractured the patient's jaw. With no concept of modern sterilization, infection was a constant, and often deadly, risk. This type of instrument was gradually supplanted by more modern-looking forceps starting in the mid to late 19th century. But even then, these primitive tools often remained in use, especially in rural areas. What makes something like this a coveted macabre collectible is its raw, visceral connection to human suffering. Unlike the straitjacket's psychological terror or the locket's quiet grief, the tooth key is an artifact of pure, physical agony. You can almost hear it, the creak of the handle, the crack of bone and enamel, the patient's cries. It tells a story about the brutal reality of life before modern medicine. It's a testament to how desperately people sought relief from pain, and the terrifying lengths they had to go to find it. For a collector, it's not just some gruesome tool. It's a piece of medical history that embodies a very real, very dark chapter in the human experience, a chilling reminder of a time when a simple toothache could lead to a life-threatening struggle in the grip of an iron key. Which of these objects did you find the most disturbing? Each one tells a different kind of horror story, and I'm curious to know which one got under your skin the most. If you enjoyed exploring the dark side of history, be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments which oddity you think we should uncover next. There are always more secrets waiting to be unearthed. These objects, the straitjacket, the locket, the tooth key, are more than just vintage oddities. They are silent witnesses. They carry the weight of forgotten stories, of pain, love, and loss. They remind us that the past isn't as distant as it seems, and that its secrets are often hiding in plain sight. Which of these objects did you find the most disturbing? Each one tells a different kind of horror story, and I'm curious to know which one got under your skin the most. From the psychological torment of the asylum, to the intimate grief of a mourning ritual, to the raw physical pain of early surgery, the world of macabre collectibles offers a unique and unsettling window into our own history. These items force us to confront the parts of our past that are uncomfortable and dark, but in doing so, they give a voice to the voiceless and make sure their stories aren't forgotten. The history they hold is often chilling, but it's a history that is undeniably human. If you enjoyed exploring the dark side of history, be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments which oddity you think we should uncover next. There are always more secrets waiting to be unearthed.